17 years gearing for war. 6 years now POW on American soil. You know, I'm waiting on a letter from the Norfolk District Juvenile Systems. You know, I got some paperwork coming in from the mail today. You know, the stuff that I'm getting from, my separated wife. You know, we've been separated 4 years now. You know, I left my wife January 18th, 2021. You know, I was in the middle of getting surgeries. I needed to take care of myself. You know, I needed a caregiver. My wife never cared about me. She just cared about the money and the paycheck coming in, which was really nothing. And, she told everybody I was gambling. I spent $100 on a fucking video game every month. Playing a game. So, anyways. Yeah, did you? 1,000? Well, anyways. Hey, no, brother, I'm in the middle of doing something. Can you give me a second, bro? Yeah. Just a sec, bro. I appreciate it, man. Hey, it's okay, man. I just need... I understand. I was homeless just not too long ago, brother. I don't have any money, brother.
I need $1.
I don't have $1 to give you. Actually, I gave $1. I had $2 in my pocket just a second ago, and I gave $1 of that away. So, but hey, have a blessed day. But anyways, so.
Hey, look.
Yeah, what's up?
I like a fat white girl like that.
Hey, man.
You my dick hard, man.
No, have a blessed day, brother. I hope everything's well.
It'll be well. Yeah,
all right.
Hey, baby.
Well, anyways, so
Hey.
So when I left my wife, I was in the middle of getting surgeries. People, collaborated that investigation on me. I'm about to lose my job. I'm getting surgeries for fractures and broken bones that I had since the Navy at this point. Now it's, that was from 2012. Now it's 2019. That's 7 years having fractures and broken bones that need surgeries, and the VA never even did one surgery on me. I'm going through my private insurance, and, I got I got my wrist, fractured, 2 surgeries on my wrist done, December and November and December of 2020. And then I got, my torn MCL knee surgery done. What was that? January of 2021. And then I got my shoulder surgery, which was scheduled February 14th, right? But I left my wife January 18th. I got fired from my job there at Alliance Science on February 5th. My sister passed away, football, Super Bowl Sunday, February 5th, right? I left my wife January 18th. My separated wife and my children are living in my house, right? I was living in a hotel, trying to get surgeries for fractures and broken bones. I went over to my house because I haven't got a place to live yet because I left my wife January 18th. I don't even have a place to live. I'm living in a fucking hotel, right? And I just lost my sister. So out of the family, my daughter Gabriella is the only one that wanted to go to my sister's funeral. So I take Gabriella to Kohl's to get a black dress for the funeral. We go shopping, I get the black dress. I come to find out when she gets home, next thing you know, she can't go to the funeral with me. So now I'm going by myself. Well, I got my shoulder surgery coming up, so I go to my house. I'm talking to my separated wife in my house. And I say, hey, can you come pick me up? Because I can't go home by myself. I'm getting a surgery on my shoulder. I'm trying to get my fractured back fixed, after that, right? She tells me straight to my face, no. She took my keys off my key ring, so I couldn't get back into the house anymore, right? Because I always put my keys and my shit up on the countertop. I never thought she would just go and take my keys from me. So now I can't even get into my place, right? Well, anyways, so I get the shoulder surgery. My Marine brother, Leo, has to pick me up from the hospital and take me to my hotel that I'm living in, right? I'm fired from my job now. I'm trying to go to my physical therapy appointments because I just had 4 surgeries in 4 fucking months, right? And I'm trying to get my fractured back fixed now. These are surgeries that I've had since the Navy. Well, anyways, I get back from my sister's funeral. Now it's March. I see my youngest, Vivian, she turned 10. I got her a camera. And then at that point...
I got a phone number, man.
Nice. Good for you,
I
brother.
told you I'm gonna get that bitch.
But,
I told you I'm a Mac, man.
yeah, there you go, dude.
Read that.
Mac Dad.
Damn right.
All right, there you go, brother.
You know what she told me?
What'd she tell you, brother?
She said, "Would you fuck me for $20?" She gave me this. She gave me a key to her apartment and everything. She said her husband watched her get fucked for.
Well, brother, I hope you have a blessed day, big
Should
guy.
I fuck her for her husband?
No, dude.
I know,
just,
man.
You know, you got $10, man. I'll take that. No, dude. I don't deal with that type of stuff, man. I grew up with that. I grew up around the hood, man. It was my childhood. You can talk to my mother about that. It wasn't cool. Both my neighbors was a 24-hour track house. I ain't dealing with that shit no more. Oh, Lord. But anyways. So, here I am. You know, I get back from my sister's funeral. I just got an apartment, right? It's empty. I'm trying to get, go to my physical therapy and stuff like that, but since I got fired from my job, I lost my private insurance. So that means I lost all my post-op appointments for my, my injuries, all my surgeries that I just had. November 2020, December 2020, January 2021, February 2021. They fired me February 5th, so that 30 days, February 5th to March 5th, I lost all my, my insurance, Then they denied me unemployment. They denied me disability. 3 days after my torn bicep surgery, February 17th, because I had my shoulder surgery on February 14th, in a sling like this after my shoulder surgery, because I had, my shoulder was completely destroyed. My left bicep tore, So now I can't even go to my follow-up appointments to get, my torn bicep fixed. This is Alliance Science and Technology. I worked there 7 years. These are service-connected injuries that I've had since the U.S. Navy back in 2012. The VA didn't do one surgery on me. I was negative 40 hours PTO working for Alliance Science and Technology every single month because of all my medical appointments. This is how fucking hard it is for our brothers and sisters who gear for war, coming back from war, have to live a life and support their family. Right? I needed to, it's been too long. All that pain, trauma, and PTSD. Man, I was getting an 8-pack of beer every single day. Because they weren't giving me narcotics anymore. Because, when I got out the Navy, I didn't have narcotics. I lost all my, I had fractures and broken bones. If you got fractures and broken bones, what do you expect to get from the doctor? What do you expect? Yeah, first you expect to get fixed, right? You expect to get your surgeries. But it doesn't work that way. Not in this bureaucracy, I'm going to the doctors all the time. It's in my medical records. They see it. They have x-rays of it, of all my fractures and broken bones. Why am I not getting surgeries? Why do I have to work like this, right? And so April 5th comes along. April 4th, I was supposed to watch a movie with my daughter. That's Easter Sunday, 2021, April 4th. I waited around, I called, I wasn't getting an answer, I was waiting for them to call me back to say it's cool for me to come over. I didn't know if they went and did something in the morning or not. But the next day, April 5th, I drove over there with Easter baskets. April 5th, I drove over to my house where my children live. I called the cops that day because, my wife wouldn't even let me in. My stuff is still there today. Today, my wife has been living in my house, for the last 4 years. And I've been homeless, April 5th, I got a protection order delivering Easter baskets. And I'm the guy that called the cops to do a wellness check on my children, right? You should see the text messages I get from this lady. I just finally got, it's taken me 4 years to get my Social Security disability because, the unethical and ungrateful people, who actively destroyed a 100% service-connected disabled veteran for 2 years. I should have been a protected 100% service-connected disabled veteran. Yeah, I know my problems. Shit, I've been seeing a psychiatrist, since I lost my naval career, in 2015. I've been seeing a therapist since 2015. I know my issues. I'm going to get help, but nobody gives a fuck about that, right? And then they label you as soon as they're like, oh, well, he's got PTSD, so he's a problem. And then they label you and they make you the problem. Like, I had the keys to the kingdom, man. 17 years gearing for war, I had the keys to the kingdom. I protected the entire fleet Marines, NATO, all that shit. And now all of a sudden, I'm getting my body fixed. 17 years gearing for war. And you don't just like take my rights from my service and my job and my career away from me, the way for I support myself and my children and my country, but you go after me and make sure I can never even fucking do it again. Like, who is, like, seriously. So here it is. I committed suicide April 5th, 2020, or 2021, like, I never had a caregiver. Nobody gave a shit about me. All my fractures, broken bones, it's just like, oh, I want a bigger house. Like my separated wife, she was looking at $700,000 to $800,000 houses. That's what she was looking at. Like, oh, we were supposed to get a big home together and do all that. I'm like, and I'm trying to get my body fixed, man. Like 17 years gearing for war, it wore me into the ground. Like, I almost died fucking doing what I did, right? And my kids, they got, they also lost their father that day. That was used against me in court. Limiting my daughters to 3 hours of playing on their cell phones, like video games a day. I limited my daughters to 3 hours playing on the cell phone. Video games a day. If they did something else other than that, I'd grant them more time. But they took that right away from me too. They said that was abusive. Me limiting my daughters to 3 hours playing a video game on their cell phone. Because I was monitoring their cell phone use. So if they were just playing, like if they're sitting on a video game on their cell phone for 3 hours, it would lock off. My parental rights were used against me in a court of law. And then I paid $25,000. I mean, I've been supporting my family, working my body into the ground for this country and my family. And then, I paid 25 grand to see my kids, man. While my wife is living in my house. And she still lives in my house today. 4 years later, I've been living off $731 a month. And she's still living in my house paying $1,000 mortgage that I bought. And she wouldn't even sign. I had to beg that woman to sign the deed. And she's living in my house today. What's even more fucked up? She went and got a fucking clearance and now she's working in the IT field for the United States Navy and Marines. Isn't that fucked up? Like, I engineered the backbone, the house, home, and hood. These people walk in, keys to the kingdom, did everything ethical, everything right, and my body's all fucked up, and I'm trying to get my body fixed. And they cut me off, they throw me to the side, and next thing you know, I was fucking getting evicted because I'm sending all my money to my separated wife and kids. I got evicted here in Norfolk, Virginia. So, at that time, I moved to an apartment in Virginia Beach. That was September 3rd, in a wheelchair. I just got brought back from, Richmond, Virginia's rehabilitation center. Because Centera here at Norfolk, Virginia, this hospital, like, right over there, saved my life. And I was there for from April 5th to, I want to say, was it April, 20th or 28th? They sent me to Richmond. And then I was in Richmond until May 28th, 2021. And then I got released. I got taken back to my empty apartment there in Virginia Beach. And since I had no money, no income, I had no unemployment, no disability from work, I couldn't even go to my post-op appointments because I never got, I had 4 surgeries before I committed suicide. I never even got my fractured back fixed. And my torn bicep, which was from my shoulder surgery from the military, that's now a service-connected injury. Never got that fixed, and then I, killed myself by jumping off the bridge. My girls lost their father. My daughters were stripped away from their father. That's the biggest fucking thing about this, is my daughters their father was taken from them. That's like fucking new age fucking slavery. I've never committed a crime. I had the keys to the kingdom. The entire North Atlantic. The entire Atlantic. All the way into fucking Texas. I mean, that's the entire fucking East Coast into Texas. The keys to the kingdom. And I was always ethical. And I'm still ethical today. You know? Yeah. Am I perfect? No. But you know what you're going to go to war with? Because I'm going to bring you everything and I'm going to tell you the truth. At least I don't lie. At least I'm fucking honest, right? But it's shit like that that just pisses me off. Because I'm getting this letter in the mail. You know, my separated wife gets, no, because now, you know, Social Security, disability, they got to give her back pay, right? She doesn't want just my child support. Because I've been sending her $1,000 a month. That's child support. I've been sending her more than that. I've been living off $731 a month, making sure my kids have a house, because I know what and I know what it's like growing up in the hood and not having a fucking home. Me and my mom sharing a bed, and pillows are divided down the center because that's all me and my mom got. You know what I'm saying? Me and my mother had to divide a bed together. You know, I'm 13 fucking years old. You know, and me and my mom sleep in the same bed. And the way we divided the bed was putting pillows in between us. Because we had to live with somebody else because we couldn't get our own home. And I'm growing up next to fucking tweakers and crackheads, 24-hour rotation. And if you ever live next to a tweakers in a crack house, heroin users and all that shit, that's 24 hours. That's 25 people a day. And they rotate. It's even more. As long as that place gets paid, they just rotate right through. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of people's lives get fucking destroyed. And I've seen a lot of kids have their, you know, like people, like I had a crush on Mindy. 14, I was 12, she was 14. Mindy ran off with a drug dealer because he was a 30-year-old man and he had his shit together. He was going to have a better life than her crackhead mother, you know? And I even had a crush on Mindy, man. Mike, he went fucking homeless. He was homeless by 14 too. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's what it's like in the fucking hood. And I'm trying to give my kids the best. And I can't be my daughter's father. You know, I can't get them set up for success. Okay, yeah. You know, I push my body into the ground for the U.S. Navy and Marines. Yeah, I'm 100% service-connected disabled veteran. Yeah, I got all this. But who in the fuck's gonna be my caregiver? You know, I'm like all fucking alone. Not one person gives a fuck. And I'm trying to set my daughters up for success. You know? I spent 25 grand. I left my wife January 18th. And then I had to spend $25,000 just to see my girls for an hour on the fucking weekend, man. Like, you know how fucked up that is? Oh, Lord. Easter baskets. I got a protection order delivering Easter baskets. With these types of standards, I wonder what's going to happen to the rest of America. Because I got a protection order from Norfolk Police Department delivering Easter baskets when I called to deliver these Easter baskets. Because I couldn't get back in my house. I couldn't get my stuff. And, you know, the Social Security office said, hey, now they're getting paid, you know, from the Social Security Disability Office, auxiliary benefits. You don't pay fucking, you know, you don't pay child support anymore. So I told my separated wife, I don't pay you child support anymore. That's coming from the aux benefits, from the Social Security disability benefits. And then, you know, we're gonna file for divorce and we're gonna sell that house because I need to get my own house. I need to get my own place. But you have the right to buy it. You could buy my place. We owe $186,000. If that house is worth $300,000 now, you pay me the half of it. You can put that, you can get a VA loan and you can have it. You can have the house that I bought, that I worked my body into the ground for. You can, you know, all the hardwood flooring, the brand new kitchen, all that stuff, you can have it. You know? That's fair, right? That's equal in this world? No, but they're stripping away my daughters. You know, my daughters don't have a father. They took my parental rights from me. They stole my daughter's father from them. 17 years gearing for war. 6 years of POW on American soil. Advocating for veteran suicide awareness and service members' well-being. I want you to remember 6,000 to 7,000 of our brothers and sisters every single year. Because that's how many people we're losing to suicide. Remember the fallen. Because I did 17 years gearing for war. And my position was always combat. You know what I'm saying? Physical or logical, right? Keys of the kingdom. I love y'all. Atlantic Fleet Quad Aces. Father, U.S. Navy and Marine Sea Lions. Out.